Welcome to Roll Your Stats. On this episode, we cover Squatch, the Furbolg Sorcerer. Hello, hi, and hello. This is post-production Michael, coming in to tell you all that throughout this episode, we horribly misgender Squatch. After multiple rounds of kicking our own butts, kicking each other's butts, and then signing up for public butt-kickingings, we've decided to include this preamble as a means to apologize. We aim to keep this show open for everyone, and that is exactly what we're going to do. Thank you all, and now back to our previously scheduled programming. Fae touched and Fae lost, Squatch is set on a journey to find their true home after a bombshell revelation from their very human parents that they were in fact adopted. Welcome to Roll Your Stats.
Hello, hi, and hello. Welcome back. It's Roll Your Stats. It's the Character Creation Cast with the Character Creation Crew. I'm Trevor.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Peyton.
Welcome back, everyone. Guys, what's the deal? How we doing?
Feeling good, feeling ready. I am feeling fresh, excited to see what the dice roll up for our next character.
I am in complete agreement with you, Michael. I am excited to see where we will go and what we will do and see and say.
Yeah, we've knocked some stuff off the list because of Castile, the last episode's character. So I like that it's kind of one of those things like, so I'm a drummer, and one of the things, like, you can take away pieces of your drum kit, and that's totally cool because then it just makes you more creative with the pieces that you have. And I feel like it's the same thing applies to what we're doing here. So, like, we take away options from our table, but then it's like, okay, well, now you just have to be forced to be even better with the limited options that you have.
Gets them brain juices flowing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Speaking of getting things flowing, let's get started from the top. We want to start with our table here. We are just going to roll to see what the race of this week's character is going to be. So we're going to roll a d20 and find out what we're dealing with today. All right. Oh, man, my heart is in my throat. It is a 1. We've got a human. Actually, that can't happen, my friends. We got that one ticked off the list because of last week's character. Oh, I actually said last week's character before was Castile. That's not true. The character before was the guy. I'm actually skipping over one I have forgotten about. How could I forget him with his infamy?
He's the guy.
Trevor, you gotta remember, he's the guy.
He's the guy. I'm like actively killing him by forgetting him. All right, so that one's off the list. Speaking of which, what came back onto the list this week? Was that halfling, or was that...
Yeah, I think we finally looped back around. We got halflings and paladins back on the table.
Excellent. All right, let's roll a d20 again. How about a 14? What does that give us? A Furbolg.
A Furbolg.
I'll be completely honest, I have not a single clue about this character.
I don't have any clue at all as well. That's really exciting. I guess I have like a mental image in mind, but as far as the nature of these creatures, what it means to be a Furbolg in this world, like where that puts them.
I have only ever heard of a Furbolg referred to as a handful of different things. They are D&D's step in for playing Bigfoot, and that they are D&D's edition of playing the Boogeyman. And both of them are because Furbolg come with just kind of one of the goofiest race builds that I personally think out of almost any of the races. Furbolgs are weird.
How so do you mean that how so are they goofy?
Furbolgs are a medium size, so you are the same height range roughly as a human or any of your next door neighbors. You move at 30 feet, but then you have an ability called Powerful Build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight that you can push, pull, lift, or drag, but you also get Furbolg Magic. You can cast the Detect spell and the Disguise spell with this trait. When you use this version of Disguise Self, you can seem up to 3 feet shorter or taller Once you cast either of these spells with the trait, you can't cast the spell again until another long rest, but you can cast these spells using spell slots that you have. And so your size, how you look, kind of how you appear, is almost wildly different depending on just the day.
That's really interesting. I don't even know. My brain's already kind of stumped just off the get-go here. I'm very happy to see if I can kind of power through this mental block already.
What's could you give us the textbook description of the Furbolg?
Oh, absolutely. In the Monsters of the Multiverse, they are distant cousins of giants. The first Furbolgs wandered the primeval forest of the multiverse, and the magic of those forests entwined itself within the Furbolg souls. Centuries later, that magic still thrums inside of a Furbolg, even one who has never lived under the boughs of a great forest. A Furbolg's magic is an obscuring sword, which allows their ancestors to pass through a forest without disturbing it. So deep is the connection between a Furbolg and the wild places of the world that they can communicate with the flora and the fauna. Furbolgs can live up to 500 years. Their ability score increases. You increase one score by 2, and increase a different score by 1, or increase 3 different scores by 1. You also get Hidden Step. As a bonus action, you can magically turn invisible until the start of your next turn, or until you attack, make a damage roll, or force someone to make a saving throw. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses whenever you finish a long rest. One more ability on the list, you have Speech of Beast and Leaf. You have the ability to communicate in a limited manner with beast, plants, and vegetation. They can understand the meaning of your words, though you have no special ability to understand them in return. You have advantage on all charisma checks made to influence them.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
This character literally is Bigfoot.
Right. You turn invisible when you want to, but only sometimes. You can disguise yourself. You detect magic. You have an oddly powerful build despite your own kind of medium size. Furbolgs are they're creepy little things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe creepy big things.
Hey, they could be whatever size they want.
Yeah, I like the idea of this, like you said, a nature, not even a nature man, just a nature beast, nature man beast.
Man, bear, pig.
And up to a 500-year-old one, so they could just be these ancient creatures that have seen many things.
I feel like this character is like the perfect being to be a druid.
Oh yeah, there's definitely calling there. That ability to communicate just naturally with the environment around you. I like the way that it specifies they can understand the meaning of your words, though you have no special ability to understand them in return. So you just being to command these things, but having to, I guess, take something else to understand them is interesting to me.
You can really take the time to explain your socio-political ideas to every dandelion in a field. That doesn't really mean that they can tell you their own beliefs back.
There's just this field of flowers, and they can't stand this guy. He goes on there on his lunch breaks, and he just kind of wants to talk, and he's venting to them, and they're like, "Oh my god, this guy again."
Anytime they approach, they just reactionary wilt.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, they all turn away from him. Funny you mentioning them having a draw for druids in the Tales from the Sneaky Dragon, the Rooster Teeth D&D podcast. They actually have a Furbolg who is a druid.
Huh. I mean, it makes sense.
Which focus area do they go with for a druid? Because I know my experience with druids, there's the wild shape, I'm going to turn myself into the animal druid. There's the caster healing druid, and then there's also the I'm not going to turn myself into the animal, I'm just going to summon a horde of animals to get you kind of druid.
I am not positive their subtype, but I do know that Mud, the Furbolg druid, really uses the animal wild shape pretty dominantly for their combat maneuvers.
Wait, you said their character's name is Mud?
Yes.
I mean, I'm starting to think of this mossy looking, humanoid-esque, kind of a little rotund looking creature that just kind of lives in the forest and is just kind of its clothes is tree bark, moss cobbled together kind of look. That's just what I'm starting to gather from this. I'm not sure, and I don't want to put labels yet, mainly because we haven't gotten very far yet in this character's creation.
almost makes me think of Trundle from League of Legends in a way.
Oh, yeah.
He's more like garbage and trash to me, though. So this doesn't necessarily fit. He would be more like this Furbolg character after spending 500 years like into the post-humanity apocalypse.
Yeah, he spent way too much time in the dumps. That's where his magic circle aligns with is garbage.
Yes, yeah.
I'm a trash wizard.
His acid spray is just garbage liquids.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of disinfectants and old bleach and stuff.
So then let's go ahead and do a little bit more rolling. Let's see. I at least want to get out the gender of the character and then also the age of the character. So then we had talked about editing our process because we ended up making a 97-year-old character? 95-year-old last session, and that felt like a bit of a stretch, though we did have a really cool means of explaining why that would be the case. So then we were talking about doing 12 plus 40-12 to make it to where the youngest the character would be 16 and the oldest would be 60, but do we need to edit that just specifically for this character since they can live up to be 500 years old? What if we do 12 plus 40-12 and then we take that number and then we roll maybe a D4 or something to see how many hundreds we add to the start of the number?
What if we do that, but then we just add a D100 to it?
Interesting.
Yeah, just add the percentile. Yeah, I think that'll work too. Cool. Let's do that. I think that'll sound fun. So first, let's do the gender of the character. So we're going to do our D6 here. We've got a 6. We've got a they. That sort of is kind of fitting into that this isn't a person that has a gender because they are a walking tree. This is just nature that has got so much magic imbued into it that it's just become a thing.
They were born of the forest.
I like that. That sort of gives a cool kind of starting point for your character where you're the outsider looking in. You are having to I don't know, it's one of the things that I can think it can be really fun as a character where you're getting to explore everything as kind of like a child where you're learning everything, but then again it can also be sort of like a trope that gets really old really quickly where it's like, okay, yeah, you don't get social graces. I don't know, maybe that's something that maybe there just needs to be progression where the person actually learns,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, heck, boys, I don't really know how much I'd care about societal gender norms after my first century anyway.
That's very true.
Ooh.
I feel like you only got about a good 100 years to be caring about if I'm a boy or a girl before that basically gets washed away with time.
Yep.
What are you?
Alive. Yep.
I'm alive. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, what are you? Alive.
Alive.
Begrudgingly.
Okay, so then let's do, so we've got 12 for the base. Then we're going to add 1, 13, 8, 21, 6, 27, 3. And then we want to add percentage dice on top of that, yeah?
I'd
You know
say
what?
so.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
All right, we'll see what we get here. 63. That would make them 93.
Okay.
Graduated with guy, I see.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? We said we edited the process so that we didn't end up with another geriatric character. And then we make the almost exact same age for the character. It just goes to show that age is purely a number, and it really depends on what your background means. Because this for a Furbolg, that means that's a young Furbolg still, I think, relatively
Yeah, this is a young Sasquatch.
young Squatch.
I don't think I've taken my chance to really jump on a name yet, but you might have just said it out loud.
What do you have?
Squatch.
Squatch.
Squatch. We'll write it down.
It's Squatch.
Squatch. It's on the books.
Are you saying squatch or squash? I can't understand you.
Yeah.
So we've got Squatch, the 93-year-old Furbolg. This mountain, a mountain creature that's maybe never seen civilization.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting take. Is I think our personality. I think a lot about this dice roll is really going to tell a lot about this character's history, because we could go either way between no contact with humanity at all and he lives in a shack, behind the courthouse.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's good perspective.
He's there, or they are there. They're like, but you said behind the courthouse, so like that's like the church-esque. Maybe they are like the working hand of the entire church foundation kind of thing. Courthouse. Hey, where's Squatch? We need them to dig this hole, or we need them to move these rocks from this quarry to that quarry.
We're really making a Hagrid here.
Whoa, yeah, you just kind of like shifted my whole perspective, but I think that's a cool idea for a character where Squatch isn't even really his name. It's the nickname that everybody's called him for so long that's just what he goes by now, and he's literally just this like massive dude who maybe now is involved in civilization, but just kind of really barely. But he's there and he helps them because they provide for him and keep him alive, and so it's this, he understands this, and so now your character that you're playing as Squatch is him maybe finally deciding that he's got to go somewhere else and see what else is out there, or perhaps there's a threat that comes to the local village and he's got to actually use his strength to defend them instead of just using it to help them.
Maybe Squatch lives in the same village as the guy. I feel like the guy and Squatch are gonna have some ties in some type of way. I can see it as like maybe Guy is the only person that is nice to Squatch and has kind of like taught them social things, maybe not some politically correct social things, but
I see what you mean. He's got this old man who's like the only one who really talks to him and engages with him, and yeah, that could be an interesting take too. I think a big thing that will place Squatch into, I guess, his position into society would be his class. So you guys want to move on to that next roll and see what we land on with class?
Let's get the ball a roll, the dodecahedron a roll, the dice.
All right, I've got my D12 in my hand. We have off the list right now is fighter, rogue, cleric, ranger. So then we have paladin back on the list. Yeah, okay, I think I was just trying to make sure to know which ones to avoid. Let's get this roll out of the way and see what this leads to. It's going to be a 5. It's a sorcerer.
Okay, I could see a sorcerer furbolg, in tune with magic.
I like that. I like a sorcerer furbolg, and really what better kind of race to pick than one so already steeped in magics anyway.
Certainly. Yeah, it's not the first thing that I would definitely associate with either sort of the sorcerer or the furbolg, but I do like the idea that the furbolg is very, like you said, connected with nature. I do like the fact that there's a kind of a connection between the natural upbringing of the furbolg and then the natural built-in things that kind of come with sorcery. It's not studying of magic, it's just I woke up today and I could cast a fireball because there's something in my blood. So yeah, there's something like a cool correlation there that I really like.
Maybe with this character living behind the courthouse per se, they were found at a young age and taken out of the forest, and they never had a chance to attune with the forest around them. They still feel this magical prowess about them, but they never had a chance to really get to know their surroundings in the forest. But they still have this magic ability, so that's why maybe they aren't a druid, but they still have that magic potential. So they decided, or not they decided, but they've kind of honed it in a different aspect and have become a sorcerer.
Oh, what a cool idea! To be removed from the forest, to be removed from nature. Well, Squatch's soul is still just so innately magic. It is drawn to the powers that be so heavily that without that connection to nature, it finds a way to connect to something else, and that's the arcane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, yeah, that's really neat. I see. So it's just the innate magic that's within him is reaching out. It needs something to hold on to latch onto. And so he's just like attuned to, like you said, the arcane and the natural magics that are there.
Right, like there's no circle of druids, there's no ancient, like tree ents or some sort of forest creature to really be Squatch's guide, but instead there's an entire library of just latently magical books oozing that kind of vibe out into the atmosphere, and being so close to it, that's just what he latched onto.
Oh wow! And so maybe he's in a school. Oh, shit. We've just said something about him being Hagrid, and so then it's like he's in a school of wizardry, but he thinks he's studying magic through the books, but he's not actually studying magic through the books. It's just that he's just like naturally magical, and he's just figuring things out, but he thinks that he's actually like being an academic.
Squatch, how do you cast fireballs? I just put my hand out and get fireball.
Right, you just stick your fingers out and squint.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it says in the book, right?
Yeah, just like it says in the book.
Exactly how it says in the book.
I'm reading through the tome here, and I don't know.
Like they're all reading through their tomes, and they've got the little tray that has all of the material components in front of them, except the person passing them out hasn't got to him yet, but he like opens up the book and just boom, fires one off, and everyone looks back at him, and he's like, I don't know, I don't understand.
Yeah, just shrugs. No, and I really think that there's an odd little coincidence of synergy in Firbolg magic and being a character that can already cast spells, because now you can use Detect Magic and Disguise Self, not as spells that you needed to learn, but just inherent, built into your blood spells.
Yeah.
You wouldn't quite get that luxury if you were, say, a fighter or a monk, a character that wouldn't have access to magic at all. You'd only get to use them once, but as a sorcerer, well, now that's just an added, couple of spells onto their list.
Very true. Speaking of sorcerer, we've jumped a little bit. Michael, do you want to give us a rundown on the sorcerer?
Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and be like me. It's so fine, it's sunshine. It's the word sorcerer.
The word sorcerer. Sorcerers carry a magical birthright conferred upon them by an exotic bloodline, some otherworldly influence, or exposure to unknown cosmic forces. No one chooses sorcery. The power chooses the sorcerer.
I mean, it sounds like someone was listening to our conversation. It's almost like, what is the saying? Like you can take the boy out of the you can take the Firbolg out of the forest, but you can't take the forest out of the Firbolg. So yeah, tell us a little more. What does it mean to be a first level sorcerer? What do you get?
At first level, a sorcerer is going to have the standard +2 proficiency bonus. They also have access to spellcasting and a sorceress origin. They know 4 cantrips and 2 spells, both of first level. And then at first level, you get to choose your sorceress origin, and I think that going down the list right here, I don't know that we would have a better choice than, what do you think, wild magic?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair, to be honest.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, because I mean, we were just making the jokes about him being in class and firing off magic when he's not intending to. I think wild magic is perfectly in line with this character who is magically innate and figuring it out, but really has no control over the outbursts in his body.
He's no aberrant mind. This Squatch is no clockwork soul. He has no bit of dragon in his bloodline, no deities or devils. No, this dude is a man born of the woods that got brought into civilization, and his soul still yearns for the magic of the Feywild.
So then give us that same little bit of rundown, if you wouldn't mind, Michael. What's it mean to be a wild magic sorcerer in particular?
To be a wild magic sorcerer, your innate magic comes from the wild forces of chaos that underlie the order of creation. You might have endured exposure to some of the raw magic, perhaps from a planar portal leading to Limbo, the elemental planes, or the mysterious far realms. Perhaps you were blessed by a powerful fey creature or marked by a demon. Or your magic could be a fluke of your birth, with no apparent cause or reason. However it came to be, the chaotic magic churns within you, waiting for any outlet.
So before then we get on to the next step, that kind of poses an interesting question. Where do you guys think what's the origin?
I've kind of got an idea brewing for this. I feel like Squatch's origin is they were taken from the forest at birth, but their village is hidden away in the forest, and they worship a fae deity of the forest that blesses every birth with a magical rite. And bandits at this time had heard about this forest and had ransacked it just after Squatch's birth. And they didn't really find anything maybe of value, but they found this furbolg that was a baby, and they just snatched it, and they were just going to say, okay, well, I'm just going to sell this kid off. And then, so later on, the guy happens upon these bandit group, and, they try to pick a fight with Guy. Guy dispatches them and hears the cries of this baby, takes this baby and says, I have no clue what to do with this baby, takes it to the church, and they raise it.
I like that idea. Like, with them having the perception, like perhaps maybe as a baby he just looked like a normal human or something really similar to a normal human. So that's the reason that they didn't just kill it, but they didn't think it was just a creature. They thought, oh, it is a person, and that's why Guy took him in, because he's thinking, well, I can't just leave this thing. And then as he grows in age, he immediately starts growing in stature, and they're like, oh my gosh, what is going on here?
Now, I don't know what the lore is on how furbolgs age or anything like that, but I'm assuming if a furbolg lives to be 500 years old, do they age at the same rate, like mature at the same rate as a human? Do they mature a little slower? So I'm assuming, maybe he wasn't just born, but this kid, this furbolg was like 30, but still kind of like technically like a toddler-esque type being.
No, I think you put the story in there in exactly as much detail in all the ways that you really need to. Is that Squatch, picking up by bandits at an adolescent age, was taken to a town where obviously a local folk hero knew better than to allow a baby to hang out with a bunch of barbarians and hooligans, beat them up, took the quote-unquote magical baby, only to find out that it wasn't even really a human baby whatsoever, but like a oddly kind of older, like, fae creature that was Squatch.
Because our furbolgs, do they have fae ancestry, don't they?
They do.
I don't know. That's just kind of a little rough thinking behind maybe a little origin story for Squatch here.
No, I like that, because then that opens him up for, he could have a very, classical and traditional sort of journey ahead of him of self-discovery of, like, who am I really? Who are my people? Are any of them still alive? Can anyone tell me actually who I am, or am I just gonna have to, find this out through memory or through reading a book or something?
Really, really like that backstory, because it gives the character basically something that I harp on for every single character that ever needs to be made. They need a reason out. They need a reason to leave what they're doing. They need a reason to go out and look and do and search for what they're doing outside of the comforts of whatever has kept them in their village. And that is, just perfectly a built-in reason out. Squatch wants to find out where he came from.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's their motivation.
He has that especially with him being a furbolg. Oh my gosh, with them, I've been messing this up. I'm so sorry. With them being a furbolg, like, say they have that moment where they're like, what's the movie Elf, where they have their dad and they're this little tiny little man, and they have to come sit on my lap, Squatch. We have to have a talk. You're not my real son, and we don't really know where you're from.
What do you mean? You're not my father? I can't believe you've waited this long to tell me.
Yeah.
You waited until he was 93. Where his like parents are like actually old and gray, and he's still young and spry. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I can't believe you waited this long to tell me.
Yes, that's brilliant. That is so good. Wow. All right, so then now that we pinned that down, we had a couple of other things, I believe, that came with being a wild magic sorcerer, the wild magic surge, and the tides of chaos. Do you want to just give us a quick rundown of that, Michael?
Wild Magic Surge. Starting when you choose as origin at first level, your spellcasting can unleash surges of untamed magic. Once per turn, the DM can have you roll a d20 immediately after you cast a sorcery spell of first level or higher. If you roll a 1, roll on the Wild Magic Surge table to create a magical effect. If that effect is a spell, it is too wild to be affected by your meta magic, and if it normally requires concentration, it doesn't require concentration in this case. The spell lasts for its full duration. Then Tides of Chaos. Starting at first level, you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to gain advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Once you do so, you must finish a long rest before you can use this feature again. Any time before you regain the use of this feature, the DM can have you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table immediately after you cast a sorcery spell of first level or higher. You then regain the use of this feature. So it sounds like Wild Magic Sorcerers also have a fair amount of influence by random chance and DM fun shenanigans, with Tides of Chaos being an anytime the DM finds it funny.
I mean, and that makes perfect sense in my head. Like, Squatch doesn't know where they've came from. They've got this magical ability and they don't understand it, and it just goes off at random times. Like, that's why they live in the shack back behind the courthouse. You know, their parents may live like right down the road, where they said, Squatch, with what has happened and what has happened in the past, like, we've just got to put you back here. Like, we love you, but
no.
You know,
Squatch, you're 6'6" and 280. You can't be shooting magic out of your fingernails and toenails every morning when you wake up. You got to go live down by the church.
No, it's heartbreaking. Oh, that is so sad.
I understand, Mom and Dad. I try not to do the magic, but it just happens.
Oh, what a beautiful little snapshot of this person's backstory. And it's one of those things that if you can take someone that's goofy like this and then make up someone end up having some genuine sort of emotional response to it, thumbs up, man.
Yeah, I can
Thumbs
already feel sad for this character, because I'm like, man, they just want to live a good life and be with everyone, but they kind of looked at, well, not with disdain, but kind of oh crap, here comes Squatch, what's gonna happen this time?
Oh, and what he's well, I guess we'll have to figure out, because we still need to roll alignment, but potentially they're a really nice person, and so then they're like, you're so kind, but you blow things up.
I say we find out just how kind they are then.
That's very true.
You're certainly right. That worked out as a pretty nice little segue. So then let's find out, like you said, just how nice they are. Let me grab a D10. Is that what I'm grabbing here? No. Yeah.
I mean, at least we know they can't be a chaotic evil Furbolg.
Yeah.
Or a true neutral. Or a, lawful evil.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're right. We got through some of the more, mean-spirited ones for previous characters.
I would love...
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
No. Just, I was saying, I'm glad we've knocked some of these, terrible ones off, so that we're not having to deal with this person being bad, because I so desperately want them to be good. All right, here comes the roll. 2, lawful neutral.
Oh.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah, they've learned to follow the rules of the society which they have been raised in, outside of their natural society, but they also know this isn't really my home. This isn't really my people, so I'm not truly concerned.
And they've probably also understood and followed the laws that have also been specifically set for them. As in, they can't go into certain areas of the village due to possibly blowing up an entire, goods cart or an entire store.
Oh,
I see.
Right.
Wow, that's kind of an interesting thought too. Yeah, where it's they have a mine, but they mine a potentially what's the word I'm looking for? A
volatile element
material. Yeah, volatile element. Exactly. Thank you. That it's if you cannot go near this part of town, because if you go off like that, it's gonna blow up literally the entire town. And like you said, he understands all this, but it's sort of like at the same time, he's like, well, look, I can't help it.
Spontaneous combustion just happens from time to time. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I think I've got the voice for this character, or if someone else wants to chip in, it's just kind of goofy. I think I'm kind of getting this from an earlier episode of Campaign 3 of Critical Role when Matt was doing a Furbolg voice when they were doing the heist in that mansion. So that's just kind of the voice that kind of stuck with me for this character.
Size definitely has an effect on it of how I perceive it as well. So then within our we've got our hold on, let me make sure I write this down. We've got lawful neutral. We want to go ahead and get our personality traits as well to see if that also kind of informs a little bit of
absolutely.
how they interact.
This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I'm excited for these.
Is clumsy by chance one of those traits?
Let me take a look on the list if I can just go over it real quick. Not that I see, no.
Dang. Okay.
All right, here comes the first roll. 14. Naive. That's wow, that's great.
Naive. Yes. Oh, what a fitting character trait.
And I like the idea of a 93-year-old person still being naive. You know, wisdom, I guess, doesn't necessarily come with age.
Very true.
You know, I mean, that makes sense too, because if they're like, you know, they're a fifth of their potential age, you know, I could see them being a older teenager, a young adult. So they're still kind of stubborn, still kind of made up in their mind what they think and feel.
Yep.
I like that a lot. I think that is a very, very fitting trait for a character so long-lived and kind of removed from their own society and inserted into another.
Yeah, and oh wow, good point. And so then, you know, they say I was kidnapped as a child, and everyone's like, oh no, that's sad. And they're like, well, yeah, but then I was taken in by this person who then took me to another person who then raised me as if I was their own for 93 years. So then all they've experienced is the benevolence of people. So then maybe they just expect the best out of people, and whenever they actually see people be terrible to another people or to another person, they're completely shocked by it. They're like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. How could someone be so awful?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You are really, really hitting like a thematic nail right on the head of the shock of meeting just, you know, how bitter and grumpy and hateful humanity can be outside of the village that, you know, kind of loves and knows and accepts him.
You know what this kind of like the parental situation reminds me of? You guys remember the old cartoon movie Hercules? How they never let Hercules come to town with them because of his powers.
Yeah.
And the parents,
wow.
The parents adopted him and love him like their own very own child. But I mean, they're like, we really try to avoid bringing, you know, them to town because people are either one gonna make fun of him, or two be mean, or three, you know, they don't know what's gonna happen. Something bad could potentially happen. So
yeah, that's interesting. And it's who is being protected there? Is it Hercules or is it the people around him?
exactly.
Wow.
So we've got naive. Let's see what else we've got along for Squatch. 14 again, double naive.
Oh my goodness. Gullible should be at this point.
You're right. Okay, let's try again. 10, absent-minded.
Oh, yeah, when I just stand there and don't think about anything, magic just kind of flows through me, and I don't know, things explode.
What? Oh, that's awesome.
Peyton, you were on fire today, because that is what a
Yes, sir.
what a fun, and honestly, what a fun, really accurate way to kind of like represent and play and look at the wildness of Squatch's magic is he's kind of got to be in control and on his game all the time, because when those errant thoughts kind of start buzzing into his head, that's when the magic starts flying out of his eyebrows and his toenails and his elbows.
He just spontaneously, his skin changes color, his eyes, his hair. You know?
You watch him grow a little bit or shrink, sneezes, and fairy fire comes out of like his butt crack or whatever. Like, who knows?
What happens when Squatch sleeps?
That's a mystery to everyone.
I actually
Do
really
they
like to
just-
think that's the reason that they put him in that shed is because when he sleeps, it's all very benign, but it's like living in a house with a poltergeist.
Yeah.
The cabinets won't stop.
they-
Chairs moving all the time. You find glasses on the counter that weren't there the morning before, and it's not on purpose. It's just kind of his latent magical hands going about making himself sandwiches and stuff.
I see. As soon as they think about something goes off on the other side of the room, and there's not that conscious barrier in place to keep them from affecting the things around them.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if this character, if they had night terrors, so they're awake but just like a paralysis like thing,
What?
and they're just, conscientiously like magic is just happening around them.
Yes, dude. Yes, I think that would be a really cool thing if this character was a party, or it was a part of, like, if you're the DM and that is one of your players' characters, that would be one of those cool things that you could, do. And even that could be, because they have to sleep, that's one of those things that you could be the reoccurring thing that is involved with Squatch is, this part of their story is occasionally when they sleep, their dreams come to life, and think of how gnarly that would be, where the party is kind of have to worry, like, can we sleep and get our spell slots back, or are we gonna be attacked by dreams in the middle of the night, and then I'm gonna be burned out of spell slots, and we're gonna have to just figure something out. Like, do we just need to, before we go to sleep, they set up a system of, pulleys and stuff where if it goes off, they, pull the pulley, a bucket falls, and smacks Squatch in the head and knocks them out and makes the dreams go away? Whatever we can do to make sure we can rest in safety.
Oh, guys, it happened again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he wakes up a different color. Like, the inside of the tent is, covered in water that he created over the night.
I
They
went to
opened
bed
up
again.
Yeah, I went to bed. I wet everyone's bed.
Yes, whenever you go to rest, your DM just gets that smile on their face, like, yes.
Yeah.
Roll. So I believe that I kind of said the word, which now maybe leads it into the perfect segue. Is it time to roll the stats?
Roll the stats.
All right, I've got my D6 here. Peyton, you got a pencil?
Well, give me just a moment, and we are good to go.
All right. We've got me, the roller. We've got Peyton, the chronicler, and Michael.
He's our lore master.
That's right. All right. Here comes roll number 1. 3, 1, 6, 1. Drop one of those ones. We're going to need 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 3, 5. So we're going to drop that 2. So, wait, did I do 2, 3, 3, 5? Is that what I just did there? So yeah, 3, 3, 5, 11. 1, 2, 2, 4, 8, 2, 4, 5, 1, 10, 3, 1, 2, 5, 10 again, I believe, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have one more roll, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
All right, here comes the last one. 3, 5, 5, 6, 16.
Well, they needed something.
Finally got one good roll.
They look pretty even across the board. Kind of. They've got one high roll, one pretty low, and then pretty even.
So, would you mind to hit us with those numbers one more time, please?
Yes. So we've got a 10, an 11, an 8, a 10, another 10, and a 16.
Wow.
I was getting stressed. I was wringing my hands, a little bit sweaty right there until that 16 dropped. And, I might get chastised. I might get torn apart a little bit, maybe. But I'd argue that sorcerers really only need charisma, and then every other stat that gives a bonus after that is really just kind of fluff.
Yeah.
That's one of the interesting things that I was actually just about to bring up myself is sorcerers, they're spellcasters that are based off of charisma. So how do we make a character that is this outsider but is still charismatic? Do we have someone who is not aware of traditional social norms, I guess, in a way, but is still really charming?
What if we don't look at it like, is Squatch charismatic, but more so, to whom is Squatch charismatic? Animals
Very
love
true.
Squatch. Plants love Squatch. Maybe even things with lower degrees of intelligence or more like magically intuned or Feywild creatures, they might have like innate draw to Squatch. He might be very, very likable. He's just dangerous.
Yep. And all the villagers, Squatch has been such a big help throughout the village, even though they do live in a shack back behind the courthouse. They do all the hard work that no one wants to do. So, they know Squatch is dangerous, but that they are a very hard worker, and that and when something bad does happen, all the bad or all the good that they've done does outweigh the bad in that case. Like, oh well, Squatch did blow up this cabbage cart or the other day on accident, but they also plowed this entire field when my oxen were dead.
Exactly. He might be dangerous, but he's likable. Even almost against all odds, Squatch is personable.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I see. That's a really cool take on that, and something I did not have that in mind, and I like that take a whole lot more because I think it makes for a more like genuine character.
Yeah, I almost would like to believe that maybe his naivety is endearing to people who see such kind of maybe like bitter dourness in the world. Squatch's naivety or his ignorance to all of the mean and the bad and the evil in the outside world is kind of endearing.
Yeah, they're a reminder of just a simpler way of thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, and I can see that too. Like, oh god, here comes Squatch. Hey Squatch, why don't you go pick up this dog poop from our yard again? Kind of thing. Oh, okay, don't worry, I'll take care of it.
But then he actually does it, and they're like, oh well, man, I look like a jerk.
Yeah.
They pay him. Okay, you deserve it, Squatch.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I'm the asshole. Thanks.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So where do we want to look at allocating these stats? Let me pull up my handy dandy, what's it called? It is a PDF. Let me pull up my PDF of the character sheet. So we have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. We know that the charisma is going to get our 16. Is that correct?
Yes.
Faux show.
So then we also have to keep in mind, as a Furbolg, they get +2 in one stat and +1 in another, or +3 in 3 individual stats. So how do we feel like we want to allocate those to maximize?
I think with the even and odd spread that Squatch has going on, I would drop the other 2 into charisma to go ahead and push it all the way to an 18 and then maybe bump the 11 to a 12. That way you get another modifier out of it.
I see. That seems like it would be the most mechanically sound to get the most benefit out of it. The only other option I would see would be put it in the 2 and the 8 so that you can get rid of that negative the negative to your rolls. But I like the idea of putting it in the charisma and banking on that harder.
I am always a fan of having a character with glaring flaws, and a negative on an ability stat is kind of my bread and butter. Like, I think I've said it in previous episodes, but I will milk whatever I am bad at to the funniest degree that I think I can pull off in a table.
And I mean, that naivety, that does, I feel like, fit in that wisdom. So I feel like that 8 should be kind of in their wisdom.
Oh, you're right.
I see what you mean, because they're relatively young. We were talking about them maybe being more stubborn. So, that I could see that they're just not that. They don't have the experience. They don't have the street smarts. Yeah, let's put the 8 right there. That takes care of our 18 and our 8. So that takes care of the 18. We'll get a +4 modifier. So we also have strength, dexterity, constitution, and intelligence to deal with, and we've got 3 10s here, so 3 of these are going to be the same and they don't matter. So really, where do we want to put our 12 to get our +1? Which additional spot do we feel like we can get benefit out of? My heart tells me constitution, because that's +1, that's just 1 more health.
I agree with that one. Furbolgs, they're pretty sturdy.
Yeah, mechanically speaking, if we're really looking for where the benefit is gonna lie, it's either gonna be on Constitution for that extra little bit of health, or it's gonna be on Dexterity for that extra little bit of dodging.
Ooh, I see. So then that's an interesting point. They could be a still tall but more lithe
Yeah.
kind of creature. They if they one of those dudes where they maybe make the joke, but there is some truth to it, where if they like stood out in the middle of the trees and stood still, someone could lose them. Oh, but they have the hidden.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
They have the hidden step. Yes.
Yeah.
That is his build entirely. He's probably wiry and thin. These big knobby, like wide shoulders, but they're like too tall, and he's just too tall. So when he's out there in the woods, if he doesn't move, he's just another birch.
Yeah. So with that, I'm so with that. I think that rules. I think that makes for, you traditionally associate a big character with being the big hardy character. I like that there's room in this world for people of all shapes and sizes.
So we're putting that 11/12 into Dex,
Yeah, I think that'll be fun.
and then we've got 10s around.
10's around, so that gives us a 10 in strength, a 12 in dexterity, a 10 in constitution, a 10 in intelligence, and an 8 in wisdom, and an 18 in charisma. So with that will bring, they also have a +2 proficiency bonus at level 1. We had also discussed one of the things we did in the last episode with the guy. Since he was such an older fella, we decided we would roll for level as well. Level 17 for him seemed like it was a tiny bit out of control, so we've decided that we will do first level, third level, or fifth level characters, depending on where we feel like they would sit in that bubble. I feel like this would still be a first level character. What's your guys' thoughts?
I think that you were right, especially maybe with like the naive kind of personality, and really maybe just kind of the way that we have built the persona and the idea of Squatch up is still kind of being close to his hometown and everything like that. I would like to believe that Squatch is just now maybe breaking out on his adventure. He is just now level 1.
I mean, and you guys are so right. You kind of said it earlier, maybe their parents are getting up in age, and it's finally time that we tell Squatch, where they kind of came from and how they came to be with us, and why they've kind of been treated different throughout society in the time that they've grown up in this village. So, and this kind of opens Squatch's eyes. So, okay, well, it's time that I leave the village, kind of thing. So
I will never ever think that scene is not going to be funny, and I will push for that scene to be played out in any D&D game that I could get a chance to as well. I think that is peak comedy at a D&D table, is a Furbolg being told by his very human parents, "You're adopted."
Yeah, I think that's lovely. So then one thing that we also need to fit in is the background for Squatch. What do we see anything on this list of backgrounds that stand out, that seem to fit? Because there's some good additional benefits that come from the background we need to take into account. Off the top of my head, as I'm looking over the list, I'm seeing Acolyte stands out to me as, if he's growing up in the back of the church, maybe there's some sort of religion that he is subscribing to. Perhaps Fey Lost. That really kind of seems to ring a bell.
The Fey Lost is the one I gravitated towards, and it looks like it hits the nail right on the head.
What's the spill there? Hit me with it.
For the Fey Lost background, you grew up in the Feywild after disappearing from your home plane as a child. You were spirited away by kindly Fey who thought you were destined for great things. Perhaps you stumbled through a Fey crossing by chance during a twilight stroll in the woods. Perhaps you were kidnapped by evil Fey but escaped their clutches. Whatever the manner of your disappearance, you gradually fell under the Feywild spell and learned a little bit about the nature of the mercurial tricksters that dwell there. When you finally returned to your home plane, you did not come back unchanged. You were haunted by the fact that the Feywild, a mirror world hidden behind a mere twist of the perception, is only a hair's breadth away. Although your memories of the Feywild grow fainter with each passing day, your heart swells with a mixture of fear and joy at the prospect of one day venturing back to the plane of the fairies that you once called home. And now, what if we took that and reversed it?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so with you. I was thinking the same thing. while you were reading it, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of what we were talking about with flip-flops. So yeah, you nailed it for sure. Then that will give us a couple of, that gets us like skill proficiencies and things like that as well, correct?
Yep, we get deception and survival.
That makes complete sense.
Two things that I would hope that I know how to do in the Feywild. Lie and live.
And I mean, also deceive people with being a tree.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
What was that noise? I'm a tree.
Then if we have deception and survival taken, what two sorcery skills are we looking at?
My heart wants to go with the numbers and say intimidation and persuasion so that we can get both of like your proficiency bonus and your stat bonus on top of those for the charisma rolls. But I'm not exactly sure that would be the best way to go for the, I guess, story for the character.
I mean, but in a sense, you can see it because Squatch can grow larger or they can grow smaller to seem less threatening or more threatening.
Oh, you're right. I do. I kind of like going maybe with the numbers play, but giving a reason behind it. And I think that is a very, very good reason, is that he has great self-control, not in his personality, but in his actual physical control of self.
I see. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Cool. So that would give us skill proficiency in deception, intimidation, persuasion, and survival. Then from being a sorcerer, we also get constitution and charisma saving throws proficiency. What else do we get here? A sorcerer, we have 6 plus our constitution modifier hit points, so that gives us 6 hit points at level 1. I like that idea. That kind of goes into Squatch not being so hardy.
Yeah.
So then they don't get any armor, but we have proficiency in daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, light crossbows.
Oh man, are you kidding me? He is definitely a dude that uses a sling.
Dude, I was so gonna say the same thing. That totally stuck out to me. Like a sling would be such a like weird, cool little weapon for this person to use, and especially for them to figure out a way to, even if it is just flavor-wise, say that's maybe one of the ways that whenever they do cast a spell that is under their control, it is delivered via sling.
I think that is a lot of fun. I do. I think that is a lot of fun. It's a lot of flavor.
Gotcha. I'm going to put that down in the character sheet. I'll get the attack bonus and damage and stuff. Let me just look it up on the D&D 5e wiki. Thank you so very much for being an awesome and fantastic resource. Shout out. Sling, 1d4 piercing. If we have our attack bonus would be proficiency and dexterity, I suppose, with the sling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it counts as like something with the ammunition, like with range. So that would give us +3 to our attack, and then +1 to damage. So 1d4 +1, or 1d4 piercing +1 damage on our sling. That's not counting any of the spells that we actually have. We would also get a light crossbow, 20 bolts, or any simple weapon, which I guess that would be our sling, correct?
Oh, for sure.
We get a component pouch or an arcane focus, a dungeoneer's pack or an explorer's pack, and 2 daggers for backups. I would say they wouldn't need the component pouch. We kind of made several points about them not needing material components, so they've maybe got some kind of neat arcane focus that they channel their magic through. Maybe something that is from their true parentage, a necklace or some kind of trinket that they can channel their fey magic through.
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe, yeah. Because I mean, if they are, their village worships that fey, and every birth is, blessed by the fey being, then they at birth they are given a specific item that is like always carried with them, even if it's in like a little like locket or like a little like vial or like a little compartment that's like lashed into a necklace kind of deal, or like a bracelet or something.
Yeah, I like the idea that there's potentially an item that could hinder Squatch really, really terribly if they lost it. That could be another one of those cool hooks for a DM of saying, okay, you've lost your arcane focus. What do you do now?
wild magic it completely explodes from this character.
yeah. That's actually the only thing holding him in.
Yeah,
Oh
and I
my
like
goodness.
that. Yeah, that's a really cool. Then you have this whole spot where we have to figure out, how do we even tame this long enough to figure out how to solve this problem. So then you also mentioned that we get spellcasting as a first level sorcerer. Can you give us a little tiny bit of a rundown of like what you said? I believe we have. Did I write it down? We have 4 cantrips and 2 spells outside of the detect magic and disguise self that we get. I guess the 2 things that we need then are our spell save DC and our spell attack modifier.
With a whopping 18 charisma, our spell save DC at level 1 should be 14.
Yeah, so we get 8 plus proficiency plus our charisma. Is that correct?
Yep.
14 on that spell save. That's rad. That's having that kind of reinforcement of generally my spells should go off.
Yeah, that is a heavy DC to fight at level 1.
And our attack modifier?
The attack modifier would be a +6.
Whopping +6.
I would say so. At level 1, really, if you're sitting anywhere prettier than like a +5, you're doing pretty good.
Radical. So then we've got those kind of things knocked off. Then I think it would be fair for us to kind of look, if you guys want to, let's look at the sorcerer spell list and see what cantrips and what 2 first level spells we think fit in with a kit that would make sense for Squatch.
One of the cantrips that kind of stand out to me almost immediately, but it really is like a flavor pick, is mending.
Ooh, no, I like that. That really fits into the narrative of Squatch is the person that we call to come and help us whenever we need help, and then Squatch shows up and does some magic and fixes the wheel on the wagon that's popped off with just a quick mending spell. But then also having that in the they've always got that one in the back pocket, because that's the one thing that they've really tried to focus on learning how to do, because they're so often destroying things that they need to immediately be able to be like, oh no, I got it, I fixed it.
oh no, oh wait, give me a second here.
I can fix this. Okay, so mending I think is our good for number 1. We've got 3 more cantrips to pick from. One that stands out to me is Mold Earth.
Ooh.
Yeah, I could see that one. Maybe that's how they live in that shack and haven't blown up the backside of the church, is that they've just like cocooned that shack in like a mud shield, an earth shield.
I had just had the mental image sort of come into my head of, someone's walking on the backside of the church, and there's just like this almost like the house that, like a bigger version of the house that Yoda lives in on Dagobah, and then it's got a little chimney, and there's black smoke coming out, and every once in a while there's just like a poof, and like a plume of smoke and fire shoots out as Squatch has one of their wild magic surges.
I like it.
All right, we'll put down Mold Earth as number 2. So we have 2 more cantrips to choose from. Anything else stand out, fellas?
I like Infestation.
Ooh, what's Infestation?
You cause a cloud of mites or fleas or other parasites to appear momentarily on a creature you see within range. They have to make a Constitution saving throw or take 1d6 poison damage and move 5 feet in a random direction. And you determine that by rolling a d4, with the directions being 1 north, 2 south, 3 east, and 4 west. It is the creepy crawlers all over your skin spell.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, spooky and cool, and also one of those where it totally fits into the narrative of, I need to defend myself. I'm going to speak to the bugs around me to help me.
I'm as close to a druid as a sorcerer can be.
Oh, so cool. So cool. I really like that too. It being a sorcerer, but they, like you said, they don't fall into the traditional lines of being a sorcerer of I'm slinging fireballs. It's like, no, I'm a nature magic creature. All right, so then we're down to one last one. Anything else stand out for that last bit?
What about prestidigitation? You know, something blew up in someone's face and they're covered in soot because of his wild magic, so he, kind of cleans them off a little bit or tries to clean up some of the wreckage, stuff like that.
Oh, I love it. I love prestidigitation.
Yeah, I am currently playing a sorcerer in my home game, and that is absolutely my most used spell.
It really is. It really is a great catch-all for a lot of the minor little tidbits of magic and ding-dong maneuvering that you would like to do as a spellcaster without having the express worded spell to do so.
So then we have 2 level 1 spell options as well. Let's hop over to that tab and see if there's anything in this list, which surprisingly there are more options here. Want to take a quick look over this one and see what speaks to you?
Let's see. You said 2 level 1 spells, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Ooh, with them using the sling catapult. Seems to kind of fit in there as well. And it's almost like, they're maximizing their thought process. I can split my brain enough to where I can, be putting a rock into my sling, getting that ready to throw, and at the same time I'm throwing another rock with my brain sling.
I like it. I like that a lot. And I really like the synergy of it all.
Yeah, and that also gives them at least some, and I suppose the infestation does as well. It gives them some means of doing some damage in combat, magically at least.
And so you also said furbolgs can somewhat understand the nature around them, correct?
Yeah, they come from the Feywild. They have a much better relationship and understanding of the world around them, at least naturally.
So what would you think about them having comprehend languages? That way, they've always been able to, talk to nature. Well, maybe not. Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that idea. I didn't want to pitch another non-combat option, and so I was going to be kind of quiet, but I really do like that idea. Comprehend language is a lot of fun.
Certainly, and it does specifically say, for the duration, you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. So, to me, that could be their means of communicating back. They can tell the things around them. They can impress what their commands and what they want to happen on them, and then they cast the comprehend languages on themselves to be able to also hear and understand in return, because that says any spoken language that you hear. So they could even be if the blades of grass speak to each other by turning themselves so that the wind blows through them a certain way and that makes a certain sound, then they could understand just blades of grass speaking. They could understand birds chirping. That, I feel like, is also, that's just cool.
Yeah, I mean, they could truly understand nature.
And another added benefit of casting comprehend languages is that it is a ritual spell. And if you have access to ritual spell casting, you can spend, I think, 10 minutes casting the spell and you get it for free.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I could see Squatch going out and just sitting in the middle of a meadow, just setting crisscross applesauce with their hands folded in their lap, and they just sit there and focus for a little while. And then, and then they start slowly hearing the trees whispering and talking in the breeze, the flowers, the daisies and stuff,
Dude.
Talking amongst each other about the vibrancy of each other's petals. And...
Dude, beautiful. Yes, absolutely. They have this ritual that they do every morning, and it's just this commune with nature. And I love that mental image you said there, Peyton, about they go and they sit and they listen until they understand. That, dang, dude, that's choking me up, man.
And maybe also as they sit there, they kind of feel the wildness of their magic kind of just, start to just settle for a little while, and they're just calm for once, and they can kind of let their guard down for just the smallest amount of time.
I just had an awesome, at least I feel like, bit of inspiration for the short for Squatch. what if we just do the ritual, and it's
Oh my
Squatch
gosh.
going out, sitting out sitting down in the field, and you can hear all the sounds of nature around him, and then slowly they transit into words and messages.
Yes, to build on that, Trevor, it's
Yeah.
just after they were told that they were adopted by their parents.
Yeah.
So they're like upset, and they go and they do this to calm themselves down.
Beautiful, brother. That's awesome, man. Yeah, great job. Wow. How cool. Okay, so then in that case, we've got Squatch, our level 1 Furbolg sorcerer, who is 93 years old and lawfully neutral. They are naive and absent-minded. And then we've also kind of talked about this outsider character, someone who is from the Fae and has been transmitted out of this society, is still incredibly and magically innate. And so they just got magic spilling out of their fingertips, and so then they've learned from good people, and they want to learn how they can also do good. Well, I wouldn't really be do good because they're a neutral person, but at least be beneficial to those around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they are lawful neutral, so whatever laws have been put in place for them due to the village's, how the village perceives them and wants them to operate within their daily life. I mean, that could be, we want you to do good these days, They could tell them, you have to be good. But I mean, they are just neutral and they're following what they're told, so they don't maybe understand that, oh, what I'm doing is truly good.
I see. And perhaps they, so they've got two sources of inspiration growing up. They've got the church that they live behind, but then they've also got the family that took them in and like truly treat them as a child of their own. And say that they've got the people in the church and they hear all that stuff about, well, you need to be good and you need to, not do bad things, blah, blah, blah. But then he goes home to his like parents, his quote unquote parents, and they say, oh, well, we don't really ascribe to all that, and we don't, I don't really think that you have to like take all that so literally. It's really more about like, providing the duty that you're there to provide for the community around you. And so, it's they trust the word of those people more so, and so then they really pick up on like, it's not really about it's not doing these divine things that are these good acts of God or whatever. It's just about pulling your weight.
Yeah.
Ooh, and that could have a cool conflict of like, I'm here to pull my weight, I'm here to do the things that I'm here to do, and I'm these people have done good for me, and so I feel like I have to at least, it's a transactional sort of thing, like, and that's a very Fae, where they would at least understand, like, something has been given to me, I need to at least reciprocate.
Yeah, like a lawful, almost like idea of balance.
Along with being that Furbolg sorcerer, they would get things like the Furbolg magic and the hidden step, the powerful build, and the speech of beast and leaf. All of those things kind of culminate into kind of leading this character along into. That was kind of funny, like all of these things kind of already fit into the sorcerer kind of build without us even getting to the class part, which brings us to the wild magic surge and the tides of chaos, those things that where you're getting to roll on the wild magic table. I guess we didn't really kind of talk about that, but for anyone who's not familiar, in those moments where you have the surge, there's a table where you roll on different wild magic effects, and depending on what you roll depends on what happens to you. So that could be a completely detrimental thing or a completely negligible thing from casting a fireball randomly or casting something that makes your skin change color. I'm personally a big fan of things like that because I just like the randomness of it all, the chance.
Yeah, the variety.
With that, I think we kind of hit all the like general parts that we really need to hit for Squatch. This has been a really fun one. That's been really like I don't know. This was a weird one. One that kind of like I maybe didn't have such high hopes for, but now I think that like this is a character I would play.
The heck, I ain't never played a Furbolg before.
Me neither, and especially playing one, you know, that I like the idea that we kind of talked about before. We hinted on being close to like a druid, but doing it through other means.
He still has the draw of the Feywild, but, you know, just expressed in the only way that his body and soul could do in this world.
And I think that there's like a cool spot there for your DM to open it up where, you know, you say, this is what's happened to me, and then how your DM runs with that could be really interesting. You know, is it a return back to the Feywild? You return back to your home to see who you really are? Is it that they come for you because you have some sort of importance to them? You know, maybe the Squatch is a conduit for something, and they are taken, and the rest of the party has to go on a rescue mission into the Feywild to get them back.
Oh my goodness, you were right.
Yeah. And maybe after you've rekindled some type of connection, whether it be good or bad with your village, you can start maybe multi-classing into becoming a druid, maybe finding out your true potential.
Oh, wow. Yeah, really cool. Really cool. With that, I think we've kind of hit those spots. Are there any other, you know, thoughts or feelings about Squatch that you feel like you need to share? Should we hit it up with a random fictional character?
Oh, I think it is time.
I believe so.
I've got a couple in the chamber if y'all are ready to hear them.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say that, my friend. Peyton, hit us with the random fictional character this week.
All right, so what we are looking at this week is we have Shrek. Oddly enough, we have Timon from Timon and Pumbaa. We've got Remy from Ratatouille. We've got the Cowardly Lion. And then we have Finn from Adventure Time.
I have an idea in a class.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, if you're already there, I think we got to run with it, brother.
Oh no. All right, hear me out. But Remy is the mastermind rogue. He has the insightful manipulator, the master of tactics, and all of that stuff, so that he can give the help action to the human that he is essentially piloting to actually cook the meal that he needs. He can't make it, you know, to the size that it needs to be, and so he just has to help. And he keeps helping.
I love it.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because then he's got the proficiency with like disguise kit and forgery kit, so he can, like you said, he's piloting the man.
At later levels, you get misdirection, which I think is at 13, where you can kind of trick someone into hitting somebody within 5 foot of you instead of, you know, hitting yourself. And really, that leads into kind of being on someone else, or manipulating or piloting or kind of helping someone else, and then letting them, you know, kind of be the front man.
So you're saying that as you're playing this character, like the character that is on the sheet is the rat, but the physical body is the one that is being piloted.
Oh, I love that idea so much.
Me too. And have it, because you could do some really cool things there. Like, for example, the first thing that came to mind to me was, say, the regular human body, its stats suck because it's just a guy. He can't really do anything. But then it's like, say, so, you know, a barbarian runs up and he chops your body in half with a battle axe, and like as long as he doesn't hit the head, then like the mouse just goes whoop and just runs off to go find another body to start piloting.
What if this is somehow like a rogue multi-class with a necromancer?
Oh yeah, and you just pilot zombie after zombie and skeleton from one to the next.
Oh wow. So yeah, you've got like you bring in 2 bodies and one gets killed, and so then you just hop to the next one, and then it gets killed, and you just resurrect the first one and just flip-flop back in between.
I don't know how that would work, but like some item, maybe they are just a rogue, but they have just like Raise the Dead scrolls or something. I don't know.
The whole back of house staff at the restaurant are zombies.
yeah. That's the game. That's really it. Is all of the house staff? They're all undead, and they're all just being piloted around by a rat. but a rat with no ill will towards humanity, just one that desires, peak cooking skills?
Just let him cook.
Yeah, he just wants to cook some good food.
Just let him cook.
He's true neutral. Got proficiency with we'd have to do the proficiency with improvised weaponry, so he could get proficiency with pots and pans and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's his fighting utensils, is pots and pans,
ladles and kitchen knives.
Ooh, see, yeah, more dangerous than you'd expect.
Well, I think we've got Remy wrapped. What about you guys?
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
I would say so.
Well, with Wimmy whapped, it's time for us to wrap this up. Guys, we've had a really interesting one today. Completely, I mean, this is what I love, and this is why we do this. It's just because these are such cool little thought exercises to really get us out of our comfort zone. And because this is a character that I would never intend to make. But here we are on the other end with a character that's got I love doing the roles, coming up with the random stuff, and then us having to say, okay, why would that be that way? Because that comes up with such interesting and cool motivations and backgrounds for these characters. So I gotta shout out to Peyton. You nailed it with a lot of the background and stuff for Squatch. Really early on, that kind of helped us point it into a direction. This has been really cool, really fun.
I've had a blast.
Yeah, I agree. I still being fairly new to D&D and stuff like that. I know of the base classes, base characters, classes, races, and stuff like that. Outside of that, yeah, I don't think I would have ever intentionally have made a furball character, or at all. So.
That is also true. I don't know that I've never stepped towards the furbolg, and I don't know that I ever would have until now, but now it seems, fun. There's a whole avenue to really venture down with a furbolg.
I guess, before we just straight up say goodbye, one kind of question that we traditionally ask, or Michael, you traditionally ask it, is what's the role that we see this person inhabiting? So yeah, just before we head out, what role do we see Squatch playing in the party? Such an interesting idea, and really that's one of the best questions to ask.
With their more lawful nature, even lining, or writing that line of being neutral, I think that neutral can be good or evil in the direction, that they desire. And so I think Squatch would fit in with Brachus, would fit in with Tonfa. They are a character that is out looking for an adventure because they, I guess, don't really know where home is, or how to get home, or what they're even looking for. They just know that they're looking for something, and in my mind that fits in really well with a character that maybe already does have an overarching goal, maybe Tonfa's desire to clean his slate, or Brachus's desire to continue the flow of wealth and the moving of money. Well, Squatch fits in with a character or a group that already has a direction to go in, because he's just a wanderer. He's looking for what will start his journey back home.
Very true. And maybe that's a means, getting some of this money and some help, from them is the means to a start.
I see what you mean there. Yeah. And there's a cool way for, I could see Squatch and Tonfa being maybe pretty fond of each other, because of their kind of mutual understanding of being the outsider.
Oh, yes.
You're right.
Kind of on similar journeys together of figuring out, who am I outside of the environment that I've been raised in, and that's the nature versus nurture pull there is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Well, on that note, I've had better exits than this.
Well, as we're getting ready to close out here, everyone, I do just want to go ahead and say, if you guys have been enjoying what we've been doing, you can check us out on Spotify, of course, here on YouTube. You can check us out on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. We're trying to get more and more content posted for you guys, so be patient with us and look forward to the shorts that will be coming out for this character, and maybe some additional stuff coming out for past characters. So keep your eyes out.
And with that, this has been Roll Your Stats. I'm Trevor.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Peyton.
Goodbye.